Hi everyone, Grey Power 60 here. Welcome to Tea with Me Tuesday. Okay, so my cup that I'm using this week is this pretty one. Now, let's see what kind it is. This is Royal Albert 1920s. It's called Duchess, and it's 100 years of Royal Albert. Actually, this particular cup, along with a lunch plate, was a gift for my retirement from the lovely people that I worked with. This was my retirement gift from them. Alrighty, a couple of things I wanted to cover today. One of the things is that I'm so embarrassed, but I have to share it with you. So we went to the shopping center. I was showing Mom areas where I used to live. I lived there for about 8 years in that particular area of the city, and I loved it, absolutely loved it, because I could almost walk everywhere to shop. There was shopping plazas close by, big, gigantic shopping malls. Anyway, we stopped in at Michael's because I had to pick up something that I wanted to get for my daughter. I was just looking, but I was looking anyway. I broke down. You know, Michael's has grab bags. Well, my Michael's at this end, the one that I usually shop at, it's pretty big. They rarely have grab bags, you know, the $4 grab bags. Well, I wasn't going to say anything. I wasn't going to do anything. I was just going in to look, and I saw the grab bags, and I said, no, I'm not going to. And when I looked again to show Mom, they were $4 grab bags, but if you buy one, you get one free. So in other words, they were $2 grab bags. Now, I know they were all Easter products. I bought them. I could not resist. Sorry, I'm shaking that. I'm going to do a video for tomorrow on what we got. I know I shouldn't have, but you know, that was really something I could not resist. You know, you get $2 grab bags, and each one, it didn't have a lot in them, and I was quite surprised actually, but a lot of Easter grass. However, you'll have to wait and see the video tomorrow. So I did break down. That was something I could not, that's why I can't go in. That's why I can't go in. So, halfway through the month? No, not quite halfway. I screwed up. However, we'll leave it at that. So, how's everybody? I hope everybody is fine. I hope you had a wonderful Mother's Day. Mom and I had a great Mother's Day. We went to my daughter's, and I stopped at my son's. My son wanted me to stop by. I also got some beautiful flowers. Mom got some beautiful red roses. I got some purple tulips from my son because my grandson loves purple, and he must have picked them out. It's got beautiful purple tulips. I got some pink roses from my daughter since they know it's my favorite color, and Mom got beautiful red roses. And we also got beautiful cards, you know, wanted a card. So anyway, this year she outdid herself, and so did my son. And then they write these beautiful notes inside, which I appreciate, because I guess as I get older, I don't need as much things, but I need their love. I need to know that they still love their mother. I need to know. And Mother's Day is a perfect day for that. So we had a good time. We had pizza. They had asked what we wanted. I said, oh, because we don't eat pizza at home. Maybe, I was going to say once a year. We really don't eat a lot of pizza. That's not true. Maybe a couple of times a year. So anyway, and the kids love that idea, having pizza. So we had pizza, we had lovely talks, we took lots of pictures. The boys and I had a lot of fun together. My mom enjoys my daughter's mother-in-law, Lorraine. My mom loves talking to her, and it was great. It was wonderful. So we had a really, really good time. So tomorrow you're going to see the video of what I picked up, and I do apologize, but I fell off the wagon, and I'm going to have to climb back on that wagon to roll past Dollar Trees, Dollarama, Michael's. You know, I need a few things that I have to get, but I don't need to get any craft supplies. But with the grab bags, they're kind of like a surprise bag. You don't know what's in it, so anyway, so I've chatted on about that for half of the day. I had so many things I wanted to talk about and that I was very passionate about. And I started going through, you know, what it was like for me to be a single parent, which I'm going to do next week. What I went through as a single parent. My son was 4, my daughter was 7 when I divorced. So I had a long time to be a single parent. And I'd like to talk about that next week. But this week I thought I would have a little fun and talk about myths. 10 myths. I thought about 10, but I found a few more. But anyway, myths about Canada that people just can't seem to get out of their head. And I thought I would share it for fun this week. And I just went through some of them and kind of shook my head. But anyway, because we don't see ourselves as you see us unless you've lived outside the country, which I did. And you really, really grow to appreciate your country when you live in another country. And I lived in Germany for 3 years. And it's amazing when you run into people what their impressions are of your country. You know, and that's true all over the world, I guess. You know, we think of a country and we have these sort of myths. Sometimes they're Hollywood myths from what we've seen in movies, impressions, you know. From an outsider's point of view, looking at your country is different. And once you've moved away from your country, you see the pros and cons of your country, and you see them. Anyway, so I'd like to do a couple of myth busters here. One of them is that a lot of people think Toronto is the capital of Canada, and Toronto is the capital of Ontario, which is one province. Ottawa, which is where I live, is the capital of Canada. And the other myth is that Canada's always cold. We get 4 seasons, although with climate change, sometimes it feels like we only got 3. But we have winter, we have spring, we have summer, we have hot summer sometimes. We have the fall with the beautiful leaves changing and so on. And we have our winter. And it's not as long as, it's longer than we want, but it's not as long as people think. Usually winter starts the end of November and finishes up, you know, the end of March. Lately, we've been getting it a little earlier in November, and we're getting it a little later than April. And then, of course, spring, fall, and summer. So, and did you know that in BC, there's the Okanagan Valley? And in the Okanagan Valley, there is actually a desert area. So, BC and Vancouver, British Columbia, is in our west coast, and Vancouver gets very mild winters. And this year, I think they had a little bit of snow that lasted maybe a day or 2 or whatever, unless you go in the mountains. But in the city of Vancouver, and that area is very warm. And then on the other hand, we have places like Newfoundland, which is cold a lot. It's a lot colder than the rest of the province because it's further north. Just the way we lay out. The other thing is that our health care is free. To an outsider's point of view, to most things, it's free in that we pay our taxes. Our taxes are very high, and it pays for an awful lot of our health care. But there are some things that are not covered. You need extra health care for that, which is like prescription drugs, chiropractor, naturopaths, things like that. Anything that's out of the ordinary is not paid for. It's not covered unless you have extra insurance. So our health care is free to the eye, but not when you're living here and paying the taxes. Okay, so our health care is paid through our taxes. It's safe to say that we don't all live in igloos, because igloos would not survive, 30-degree heat, 30 degree. Okay, so 90, 80s and 90s Fahrenheit. So that is another thing. Another myth is that, and I did itemize them, but I'm going to jump around here, is that we all speak French. And the most population of French, unless there was French settlers in the West, there's areas in Manitoba and Saskatchewan that do have areas of concentrated French that settled out there many, many years ago. But Quebec and New Brunswick are the two provinces that are quite French, which is probably why my mom and her family speak a lot of French, because they are from New Brunswick and Quebec, whereas my mom's sister at a very young age moved to Nova Scotia, which is very eastern province on the Atlantic side. Doesn't speak French. I think she understands a little bit from her childhood, but basically they don't, so unless they learn it in school. Oh, what's the other one? Mounties, our Mounties. Everyone thinks that our police force is the Mounties and that they wear those red uniforms with those funny hats and ride horses. Well, our Mounties usually wear the red, which really looks so cool, and wouldn't it be great if they all did? But those are only for ceremonies. They don't ride horses unless they're in the musical ride, or unless it's a ceremony where they're riding their horses, and usually they're from the musical ride. The musical ride is a ceremonial, what do you call it? Not activity, but where the Mounties are on the horses and they do these things. They ride the horses back and forth. I am so sorry, but you know what I mean. They only ride them for ceremonies. They do not wear their uniforms, other than their red uniforms, other than for ceremonies. And the Mounties do not. They are, I think, in the north. I am not sure. I'd have to check. But each province has their own police force. Like I live in Ontario, which includes Toronto and Ottawa. We have our Ontario police force, and then Quebec has their Quebec police force. Manitoba has Manitoba, and so on and so forth. But I think in the northern areas, where it's more scattered and larger, the Mounties, I think, do monitor that area. And then, of course, each city has their own police force, so that the Ontario usually is outside the city limits, and then each city has their own police force that governs within the city. So unless it's on the highways, our Ontario, or OPP as they're called, they do not travel within the residential districts of the city. They look after the outskirts of the city. So I don't know if that's true everywhere, but that's here. No, we don't live in igloos. We don't live in igloos. I'm sorry about that. It would have been kind of cold. No, we have regular sticks and bricks like you guys. What was the other thing that was so funny here? There was one. That Canadians say A. Good day, A. Good day, A. I don't really know too many people that do that. Maybe in small towns and small rural areas, but I don't know. I don't know anybody who says a boot. A boot. It's a boat. Unless we wear boots outside, right? But it's not a, no. So, what's the other? Metric system. The metric system came into effect in the, I think it was, I don't know, late 60s, early 70s. I remember learning it in school, and it was quite a conversion for us to go from gallons to liters, you know, from, oh my goodness. Oh, my power. Oh, my power, my power, my power. I hope. This is twice I've done this. What's going on here? There we go. Sorry, guys. I never let the power go down on my phone. I don't know what's going on. Alrighty. This is getting way too long, again, as usual. Our metric system. So, yes, so we do use a metric for speed and for distance. We use kilometers instead of miles. I grew up in miles and gallons as a child, but in school we learned kilometers and meters and that kind of thing. Although we do use inches a lot, yards, inches, like our football fields are so many yards or so many meters, whatever. But we use Celsius for temperature. We all sort of got comfortable with that because everybody uses it. In Canada, we use Celsius, but we use Fahrenheit for cooking. So, you know, that's kind of a funny thing. Another myth is that I told you, our healthcare is not free. I'm trying to think. That we all play hockey. We play lots of sports. Soccer, football, baseball, lacrosse, we do curling, we do so many sports. I think, are a country of sports. And that, what was the other thing? That we don't only play, oh, and that basketball. Basketball was actually invented by a Canadian. Just thought I'd mention that. A lot of people don't realize how large Canada is. And if you think the spans of the United States, when you're thinking of from the West Coast to the East Coast, we are large. And our West Coast to East Coast, if you traveled 8 hours a day for over a week and you don't sleep, you just keep traveling, maybe you might be able to make it across. But we've traveled from Ottawa to Vancouver, so we have to go up through the lakes. We have to go across Manitoba, across Saskatchewan, across Alberta into, it would be like traveling from New York State to Washington or to California. I don't know too many people that can do it in a week. But anyway, so that is another myth buster. What else did I have here? Canada's considered sort of a pushover, you know. We are polite for the most part. We try to be. And I think we're kind of in between the Brits and Americans, I think, is because a lot of our history is British and American and all that stuff. But don't push us, because when push comes to shove, we can be actually quite nasty. And that's just a fact of life. You know, you can be nice and nice and nice until somebody pushes your buttons, right? But we are, you know, we are a good country, a beautiful country to live in. Bag milk. Bag milk is something that surprised a lot of my American friends. They didn't realize that we use bag milk here. But we're not the only country. The UK does it. Israel does it. I think South Africa, Russia. I'm trying to think of some other countries. I've forgotten now. We all use bag milk. Um, that's another thing. What else? What else? There was one other little issue that I wanted to bring up. Poutine. Poutine. Poutine is French fries with cheese curds and gravy. And it is delicious. And do you know that I was in my 30s before I had my first poutine? We never had it at home. It was always something that was bought when you were out at a restaurant, or, chip wagons. Love chip wagons, love chip wagons. I don't know if you have them in the States, but it's like anything else. Our chip wagons, some of them are so fantastic. And what else? What else? What else? I think that's about it, guys. Listen, it's going longer than I wanted. I'm going to have to cut this video down. But I just wanted to bring you a few myths about Canada that are not true, or some that are true. But again, I love my country. I love the fact that many of you are good friends. We've been good friends with our American friends for many, many years. And we're just people. We're all just people. A lot of people many years ago used to think that Canada was just the 51st state of the United States. And we resent that to a point because we are, like anything else, our own sovereign country, and we have our own ways. And like any sovereign country, we like to protect ourselves, our uniqueness, but we also like to make fun. We have a good sense of humor, believe it or not, and we do love to share, and we do love all of our neighbors. And I want to thank you for joining me today on this kind of funny Tea With Me Tuesday. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.